Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2022 horror creature feature Freeze. The film is written and directed by Charlie Steeds, and it stars Johnny Vivash, David Lennox, Beatrice Barilla, Jake Watkins, Rory Wilton, and Ricardo Freitas. Now, the film is set sometime in the late 1800s, I think. And it focuses on there's been like a failed expedition to the North Pole, and there's a rescue ship sent to try and find out where they've gone, what happened to them, so on and so forth. There is a captain and a crew, and when they get to the North Pole, they kind of get stuck in some ice, and then they are pretty much immediately set upon by these creatures that seem to be infesting the area. They try and make their way to the safety of some nearby caves in order to take stock of where they are and hopefully survive, as well as at the same time trying to find this lost expedition. Right, what are my thoughts on Freeze? Well, I was initially interested in this really for two reasons, really. I like creature features. Even low-budget B-movie creature features can be sometimes quite a lot of fun. And this aesthetic of this film reminded me of that 10-episode TV show, The Terror, from, I don't know, about 3 years ago, something like that, that was about that failed expedition that went to the North Pole. It was based on true events. That was just fabulous. I mean, I think it's one of the highest quality shows of the last decade. It was superb, really, really good. So I thought, well, I know this is probably not going to be up to the quality and standard of that show. Certainly the first season. The second season I didn't really care for, The Terror. But I thought I'll give it a go, you know what I mean? I feel like I've got a little bit common ground with this, so I shall try it out. Might be a bit of fun. And while there are moments in this film where, it is very much what you expect it to be, a creature feature, and like a survival horror, if you like. They've got to survive in, conditions that are just there to kill them, as well as these beasties that are out to kill them as well. There's also no denying that there's a lot of problems with this film that are very, very difficult to forgive. Now, number one, this film is a fairly low-budget film. It's got some impressive costumes, set designs, all this kind of stuff. There are moments where you really do believe that they are on, a ship of that time. And then there's other scenes that you see that it's clearly like a green screen thing where the ship's behind them and things like that. And other moments where you kind of like the budget screams out at you. And another reason why there's not much in the way of a budget for this film is there's only a select number of cast in this film. So that translates to the fact that you only ever see a select number of the crew. So I don't know. I'm not a naval historian. I don't know how many people manned these ships, that went on these expeditions in those kind of days. I'll be generous and say 50 people on this boat. There was probably more. And we end up very, very quickly with about half a dozen people on the crew left. And then they're saying things to each other like, everybody's dead, everybody's dead. Now, they're not dead because they crashed into the ice or for any other reason. They're dead because one of these creatures has turned up. And we only see one initially. And we see it take out a couple of the crew. And then we're meant to believe it's taken everybody else out. It's moments like that where it screams at you, I have no budget, because, there's just not enough of the crew. And then there's other things that just clearly are not thought out. They are in the North Pole, and they are trekking across the North Pole in the snow with nothing on to protect them from the cold, really. They've nothing really covering their heads. They've no, snow jackets. Surely they went prepared. They knew they were going to the North Pole. And they would literally have frozen in minutes. And we're meant to believe they've got everything they need to survive for potentially a couple of years until another rescue boat comes out to get them. I just wasn't buying it. And then to tap it off when they're going to look for this other expedition, this lost expedition, without spoiling anything, they find somebody, and he's survived for 2 years in this cold. I mean, it does kind of explain it in a roundabout way how he managed to survive, but you just can't buy it. You know what I mean? These conditions would be so harsh. You don't need a creature or a beast in these conditions. The weather and the conditions would literally kill you, you know, in no time at all without a beastie chomping on you. So it's very, very hard to take this film seriously because of those reasons. But if you can kind of put all that to one side, underneath this is a reasonably enjoyable creature feature. There is these creatures are quite nicely designed, actually. I can't lie. I thought, well, when you did see them, I thought they looked quite effective. I thought the effects were decent for these creatures. You know, they filmed them smartly, so you never saw too much of them. So it didn't look like just a man in a suit for the most part. And what you did see of them, I thought they were fairly effective, and they felt threatening. But some of the crew, if you like, kind of negated the fear factor because they just kind of didn't emote how you would expect them to emote. You know, that, for example, the captain, you didn't believe he was the captain because he didn't project any real authority. And you know, and you've got these stereotypical crew members that are left. You've got the cowardly one, you've got the bully sort of thing, you've got the authority figure, i.e. the captain, you've got the doctor, you've got a woman that's stowed away sort of thing. So it's kind of all these stereotypes, they've kind of like thrown them in this survival situation, and none of them are particularly memorable. So while I do think there is a little bit of fun to be had with this in regards to B-movie creature feature, there are a lot of problems with it. So if you're interested in checking this film out, just be aware going into it that you're not going to get a high quality film here. You're going to get a few decent ideas, some decent effects for the creatures, but just kind of put your intelligence and common sense to one side when you're watching it, because it's liable to get on your nerves, really, because it does kind of insult your intelligence a little bit when you watch it. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be back with more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.